Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another podcast episode. I think we are on number 5. We are halfway to double digits. So welcome back to the episode. We've both got new microphones. So we're hoping that all of the sound issues that we've had have been sorted. We've got a new way of recording the podcast too. So hopefully the video quality and the sound quality are both a little bit better. Cal, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm a little bit tired. I've been working a lot because it's a busy time for pubs before Christmas. But I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thank you. I've been pretty busy too, but not as busy as you. You've been doing what, 12-hour shifts?
Yeah, 6 days a week.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not very
pretty
fun.
intense.
Oh well, puts food on the table.
Yeah, it's got to be done. But December, I always find that December goes very quickly. So hopefully it'll be January before you know it.
Yeah, December is flying by, but I quite like December. It's a month where I have my birthday, Christmas, New Year's Eve. It's a fun month. So I'm not going to try and wish it away too fast.
Yeah, very nice. And of course, we've got a bit of a surprise coming. So when this episode gets released, it will be 1 week until a big surprise, which hopefully a lot of you are going to enjoy, but we won't give any of that away. We won't tell you any of our secrets, not yet anyway.
No spoilers.
Yeah. So let's follow on from last week's episode then. So we were on part 2. So this is part 3 of universities. Cal, where did we finish up and where are we starting?
So I think we left off. Talking about differences between uni in Brazil and the UK. And I can't believe we left out probably the biggest one for us, which is price. And also, motor taxis, they were awesome, but price is probably the biggest one. Uni in the UK is famously very, very expensive. And you don't have any option. So all universities cost a lot of money and they all cost the same amount of money. So it doesn't matter what course you do, what subject you study, which university you study at, all of the courses cost the same amount of money and it's very expensive. There's no public universities. And where we studied in Brazil, it was the system there. They have some private universities and they have public universities, and they're called federal universities. And it was at one of those universities that me and Finn studied.
Yeah, and here it costs, well, how much is it exactly? Do you remember? We always just say it's 9 grand. So a grand is £1,000. So 9 grand, 9,000, but it's a little bit more. It's like 9,000. I want to say 250.
That's what I think. Yeah, I think it's that as well.
And I think I saw the other day that it's going up at some point.
Yeah, not tuition fees. Basically, for a lot of boring reasons, there are less international students coming to the UK, and international students pay, I think, twice the price of British students, and so they generate a lot of money. But because there's less coming, universities have less money and we have to pay more.
Yeah. So I think it's going up to, is it 9,500?
Yeah, realistically, I think it's like 250 quid.
something like that. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Presumably the loan will go up as well.
Yeah.
So I doubt it will make a difference in most students' minds. Which brings us to loans, I guess, because you might be wondering or thinking, £9,000 a year. Oh my God, these guys must be rich. They must be loaded. But not the case, is it, Finn?
I wish.
So
Yes.
how do we afford university in the UK then, Finn?
Yeah, so the loans, we have a maintenance loan, which is basically just so that you can afford to live, so that you can pay rent, you can pay for your food, and if you have any money left over, then to have some fun as well. And often you need to buy things for your course. Often there are textbooks, maybe, or just other things you need to pay for, like joining clubs and societies, things like that, just to make sure you don't have a miserable time at uni. And they can be up to £9,000 as well. It's like a little bit more, but it's I can't remember actually. Is it 11 is the max? Or am I just making
No,
that up?
I think the max went down. No, it's around £9,000. I think if you live in London, then the maximum is higher, maybe about 11, because London is way more expensive than everywhere else in the UK. But yeah, I think about £9,000. You're right.
Yeah, and this or the amount that you get depends on your family's income. So if your family earn a lot of money, your parents earn a lot of money, then you will get the minimum maintenance loan, which I think is 4,000 something,
Wow.
4,000 ish, between 4 and 5,000. And then, yeah, I think you get a little bit more if you are from a single parent household.
Yeah, you get the max if you're from a single parent household, the maximum amount. And there's other factors as well, and you can get some bursaries, which are basically, I guess, loans that you don't have to pay back. Just gifts, I guess.
Yeah, well, you have bursaries and grants as well.
Yeah.
I think bursaries are more for, I think bursaries are more for students that can't afford it, maybe, or that need extra assistance with paying for tuition fees or living costs, things like that. And grants are given to people that need to do something, I guess. Like you have a grant to study a certain project or do some research. You need a research grant.
Yeah, I think the grant has a premise of you expect something in return, perhaps, whereas a bursary is just given for that person to spend how they like.
Yeah.
But so you have the maintenance loan, which is around £9,000, and that's for your own personal spending, rent, food, however. And then you have the tuition loan, which goes directly to the university and pays the price of tuition. So the £9,250 fees that we spoke about. And it's probably worth saying that these loans come directly from the government. So the maintenance loan goes from the government to you as a student, and tuition goes from the government straight to the university. I don't know. What do you think about these loans, Finn? What are your thoughts on them? Think it's a good system?
Yeah, well, I mean, it means that everybody pretty much can go to university if they want to. So if your dream is to study, but maybe you're from a disadvantaged background, they say, and it's not something you would be able to afford, then yeah, it makes it really accessible. But I think you kind of forget when you are studying. Well, I definitely did anyway, especially with the tuition loan. Like you said, it just goes straight to the university, so you don't even see it. And then now that we've finished uni, we are all in a lot of debt to to the UK government, which I guess we'll move on to talking about in a little bit, paying it back.
Yeah.
What do you think? I've got another thing I want to throw in about Wales as well, but yeah, what do you think first of all?
Well, I have a bit more of a hard line stance on this topic. I think university education should be free, and I think that is possible to have free university education and for it to be a high standard. I think the education that I received in the university in Brazil was a really great standard of education, but with less resources, or more simple resources. But I thought it was a great standard of education. I think, I just think it's so expensive in the UK, and the universities are ran like businesses, and it really feels difficult to shake the feeling that the universities just want your money and don't really care about you and your education. And I always think, like, where is my money going? And I guess it makes sense in some ways to have all of the courses the same price. But at the end of the day, me, for example, as a student of history and modern languages, I only ever used my laptop, a pen and a paper, and a classroom with nothing in it. So where has my money gone other than teachers' salaries? Whereas I understand it makes more sense for engineering students or medical students who have to use expensive equipment and things like that. But yeah, I'm not a fan of university fees, and I think ultimately it's unfair anyway, because the people with wealthy families won't even enter in debt because they can pay it off. So even though it gives everyone an opportunity to go to university, the less advantaged people will come out with loads of debt anyway. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah. So one thing that made me laugh, it's a little sidetrack, but you said that you just used your laptop and a pen and paper, but in the final year, in fourth year, I didn't even use a pen and paper, just a laptop the whole time. And sometimes we would be given sheets of paper, like either a worksheet or something with information on it, and that would go straight in my bag. And then I would get home, go onto my desk, onto just the pile of papers that eventually got, it didn't even get that high, but it was just in the way. So I just put it on the floor in the corner. So yeah, I literally just used my laptop in the end.
Yeah, I think I had just a backpack that was just filled with a piece of paper. There was no filing system or anything like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, talking about value for money as well, during COVID especially, there was, when everything was online, all of the teaching was online. I remember there was a bit of a movement for students to try and get reimbursed, so to receive money back that they already paid from the university. because they were saying all of our lessons are online. This isn't what we agreed to pay for or the standard that we thought we would receive. And it's not the same standard, and it can't cost as much anyway. But I don't think that actually ever came to fruition, meaning it never ended up happening or produced the outcome that was desired. I guess which brings us to whether you think it's worth it or not, Finn.
Yeah, so I agree. The value for money is really not that great, for especially just because it's so ridiculously expensive. It's not even like it's good quality, but it's very expensive. It's often just quite bad. I think especially, I don't know, there were good parts and bad parts. It's not like the whole thing for me was terrible, but yeah, I feel like the value for money was definitely not that great. And like you said, with COVID during the pandemic, it's even worse. So we are always told throughout school and at all levels of education about attendance, that it's kind of drilled into us. So they repeat it over and over that attendance is the most important thing, and you have to be live in the classroom. Learning things online afterwards is not great. You have to be in the lesson in person. And then when we get to uni and the pandemic hits, and well, all the schools everywhere say we are delivering high quality lessons and classes, and they are of the same standard or whatever, and it kind of felt a little bit hypocritical.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think I think universities can now bank on the fact that they can rely upon the fact that so many young people just want to go to university, and it's become less. It's no longer a kind of different thing to have a degree. It's very common now to have a degree in the UK. I think over half of all young people go to university. So it's no longer kind of really difficult thing to achieve. And so many jobs just require a degree in the UK. So they don't necessarily require a specific degree. So many jobs just need a degree and experience. And so I think knowing that, and so many students just see a degree and the universities as a piece of paper, a certificate to say, I've done it, give me a job, please. And yeah, it's kind of, in a cynical way, you can just see it as investing a lot of money and time into a piece of paper that lets you move on to the next stage of life. However, you have a lot of fun while you're there, aside from the education, I think.
Yeah, I guess the university experience, the whole thing, is a kind of a different question, not just the education itself. But yeah, exactly. It's kind of a step, like a job requirement is a degree, but now that's not very unique. It's not something special. It's kind of just expected. It's the standard. So it's like you've got to tick the box, go to uni, get the paper, and now it's just very common that you need experience, 1 to 2 years of experience for entry level basic jobs on top of a degree, which is a bit of a nightmare. But we can go down that rabbit hole another time.
Yeah, but I think you summarized it very well there. You said that in a lot more he said it a lot more succinctly than I did. A word which we will explain in the glossary.
Ooh, yeah. Glossary.
But you mentioned Wales. Do you think your experience in Wales was different to in the UK? Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Jesus. In England. In England.
Yeah. Yeah. So the point I was going to mention was about the cost, or well, actually, I don't know if it's the cost or the maintenance loan, but for Welsh citizens, if they stay in Wales and go to uni in Wales, there is either a reduction in the tuition fee, or you get an extra maintenance loan, or you get or maybe it's a bursary that we were talking about, just an additional bursary. So you don't have to pay it back. It's just almost a financial incentive to stay in Wales and not move out.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I think Scotland has a similar thing, or
university in Scotland's free.
yeah, actually, yeah. Sorry, I remember that now. That's pretty great, but just for Scottish people, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you're Scottish, you can go to university in Scotland for free, which is crazy to me because it's part of the UK. We all have the same, I don't know, laws and stuff. Like they get free university. It's amazing just for being born an hour and a half to the north of where I'm born.
Yeah, wow. That is pretty crazy. So if you or I were to apply, we want to go to Edinburgh, we would have to pay, is it still 9,250 or whatever it is? It's still the 9 grand.
Yeah, it's the same price.
Well,
yeah,
yeah, pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
But okay, so would you say then that uni is worth it in terms of the whole experience? So we've looked at kind of just the educational side of it. We would say no, but the whole experience, and now you've got the paper to be free in the world and go and get a job, go and climb the corporate ladder in London if you so desire.
I think education side is a resounding no. Everything else, yeah. There's a bit of a saying, isn't there, like a bit of a joke which students say at university where they go, oh well, it's fake money, innit? Because it's fake money, it's a loan that you will at some point in the future have to pay back, but it's so far away that it kind of loses its value. And so I don't know, for all the fun that you can have and the good times on fake money for 3 or 4 years is really fun. I met some of my best friends, had some of the funniest times. I learned to cook. I had great relationships. I loved living on my own, as in away from my parents. Yeah, I don't know. It was great. I had an unreal time. And I remember my friend graduated a year before me and had a real job, and he said to me, like, enjoy out university while you can. He said, because afterwards it's just rubbish, because never at any other point in your life do you live with all your friends, have zero responsibilities, get free money from the government, and have basically nothing to do. So yeah, I loved it, to be honest.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Is like the main bit is just living with 4 of your mates, and just often you don't have very much to do, or it's very easy to get your work done in the amount of time that you have. So it is a very just good experience that is kind of what I don't want to say once in a lifetime, because it's not. You can go to uni whenever you want, but to have that many people that are the same age as you and kind of messing about and not taking things as seriously, it's you only have a short window between the age of 18 and 24 to be kind of, I think you can go to uni after, but I think a lot of older students don't live uni life to the max as much as you were just describing. So yeah, I completely agree. I think overall it's definitely worth it, even if the exact education side of it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's something so special about, I don't know, there's no other time in your life, or just on a Tuesday afternoon, maybe when in summer, and you've taken the sofa out of the house and put it in the front garden or even in the street, and you're all sat on it drinking beers in the afternoon, because why not?
Yeah, just because you can.
Because you can. It is a great time. It's a great time. But yeah, I think that was quite a nice way of rounding things off, I think.
Yeah, have a very miserable doom and gloom podcast, and then at least the last 5 minutes was happy ending.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, so thanks for joining us, guys. Make sure you're in the club and you can do the glossary, you can do the quiz. And if you want to join live conversation classes with us, we have them 5 times a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So yeah, make sure you come along. We'd love to see you.
Nice one.
So yeah, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. We will see you next week.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. See you soon.